Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Lady Savings and says, "Am I the arsehole here? Husband accused me of financial infidelity. Husband, 33 male and 33 female, have been married for 10 years, together since college. Since starting out, we made financial security a priority and have been able to achieve that, albeit with some good luck along the way. We both have good jobs paying close to $200K each. Student loans were paid off within a few years. Both went to state schools with some scholarships, so didn't have a lot of debt to begin with. We live in a house I inherited from my grandmother, no mortgage, and don't have any credit card debt. We max out our 401ks and currently have 18 months of expenses in our emergency fund and are still adding to it. Our cars are both paid off and should be good for another 5+ years, and we don't have any credit card debt. We manage our finances in a hybrid manner, joint accounts for bills and savings and separate accounts for our fun money. We each get a pretty generous monthly allotment. The fun money is strictly for our individual expenses, hobbies, clothes, outings with friends, etc., and not for things like date nights, vacations, or large joint purchases like household appliances and repairs, which come out of our joint account. We also agreed that if either of us gets any bonuses or has any side hustle income, those go into our individual fun money accounts, unless the funds are needed for a larger expense, such as a major home repair. In terms of the fun money, my husband is much more of a spender than I am due to the expensive hobbies, in particular golf and collecting sports memorabilia, and he's also more into designer clothes, which is fine, it's his fun money. On the other hand, my hobbies are a lot less expensive, running and working out, reading and baking. In general, I'm more introverted, and a great time for me is a tea with a friend at one of our homes, with homemade pastries. I've also been getting back into gaming lately after setting it aside for much of the past decade while building my career. After realizing I had more than enough in my fun money account, I decided to overhaul my gaming setup and got myself a new PC, desk and gaming chair, total cost of about $5,000. However, upon hearing about the purchase, my husband is furious. He says he had no idea I saved so much money and that I should have consulted him before spending $5,000. I asked what difference it made if it was my own accrued fund money and not our joint funds, and he insisted that my accumulating this amount without telling him was a form of financial infidelity. He says he lost trust in me and doesn't know what else I might be hiding. He's demanding that I return the items I purchased and deposit most of the funds to our joint account. He wants to make a new rule that fund money accounts can't accumulate more than $2K and that any excess goes back to the joint account. A rule that would obviously favor him as a person who spends most of his allotment each month instead of saving up for anything bigger. I feel like I am being punished for being more of a day-to-day saver than a spender. It wouldn't occur to me to demand to know how much my husband has in his fund money account or try to micromanage what he spends it on. I wasn't hiding anything deliberately. He never asked about it until after I made the purchases. Still, maybe I should have been more transparent about my plans. So, am I the arsehole here? Info: husband and I each have our own office and hobby room in the house, so it's not like the gaming setup was going in a space he uses. I don't usually game when my husband is home unless he's already busy doing something else. My biggest block of gaming time is typically when he's off playing golf. Also, I run 40 to 50 miles a week, so it's not like I am generally sedentary. I can't think of a good reason why he would object to me gaming or having a nice gaming setup in my own space in the house." So OP was leaving comments down below this post that gave some additional info as well when people were asking questions at the same time. So OP started off by saying, "I actually have a lot more than 5K saved. We have had this arrangement for a few years and I typically only spend about $500 of my allotted $1,500 a month. Maybe a bit more some months if I need to replace my running shoes, buy other clothes, or have any outings with friends planned like concerts, but in that range." Someone says, "Girl, what does he actually contribute to your household?" OP says, "Although our incomes are about equal, I work shorter hours at home, with occasional in-office days or business travel, and he works long hours in the office, plus an hour of commuting time each way. Perhaps because I'm home all the time, having a very tidy home and fresh cooked meals is a priority for me. I primarily do those things for me and not for him, even though he benefits as well. I still have to cook and clean if I were living in the house by myself, unless I wanted to hire someone to do those things, but I don't, as I genuinely enjoy cooking and housework. We do have breakfast together most days, unless he has to leave early. Dinners together most days, and weekend date/activity time in addition to pursuing our own hobbies. He's smart, hilarious, and a delightful companion, at least other than this latest issue. I realize I haven't emphasized the positive in this thread because I've been pretty pissed. But other than that, he's been a great partner and husband. People in the comments were showing confusion about how much cash they have. The OP says together we have joint cash savings of about $250,000, plus retirement savings approaching the 7-figure mark. Someone says, could he be hiding a debt or gambling addiction? OP says, I manage all of our bank accounts and check them daily, and also handle all the bill pay. Nothing suspicious so far. He admits he's not great with money and would spend more without a budget. It just sounds like he's jealous that you saved up this amount to buy a decent gaming setup, and now he's showing his jealousy about this. Maybe it's a control issue. What I would find really interesting is to find out how much he spends, over a certain period, let's say 6 months, how much he spent of his fun money on his golfing equipment or his other hobbies, and point that out to him. I don't play golf myself, but a quick Google shows me that some golfing equipment, not all obviously, can be pretty expensive. But we're starting the comments with Lost Dragon, who says, not the arsehole, he sounds super controlling and greedy. My wife and I manage our finances in a similar way. She spends her money on whatever she wants and I blow mine on outdoor stuff and video games. We have joint checking and savings for household expenses, kids, vacations, etc. I'll sit him down and tell him how he chooses to spend his own money is his business and how you spend yours is your business. He agreed to this arrangement and doesn't get to change the rules because he chooses to manage his money differently than you. You aren't going to return anything because he's acting like a spoiled man-child who didn't get a new toy when you did. John says, not the arsehole, this isn't a money issue, it's a control issue. Seems like you spooked him by showing you can quietly amass funds out of sight. You're making a good income and have few expenses, so 5k should not be a big deal regardless of the circumstance. The only reason it is because your spouse thinks he should have a say in your spending. I'm not saying this is abusive behavior. It could be something else, but this is a thing abusers do. Better to nip it in the bud. Do not agree to the new 2k limit. Push back. Fragrant says, not the arsehole. Girl, you know he's just jealous and bitter because you are better at budgeting than him. He's being ridiculous and controlling, and frankly, it's a giant red flag. Now that he's shown his true colors, it's even more important that you keep separate funds in case this escalates. If this is new behavior, maybe you should try and find out what is motivating him to be a butthead. But it probably wouldn't hurt to review past behavior to see if there have been other signs that he's controlling that you may have brushed off before this. Good luck and feel comfortable that he's being a drama llama. And one more from Darkulus who says, not the arsehole, I wouldn't do anything nuclear, but I'd have a conversation with him about how you don't question how he spends his fun money and how he should give you the same respect. There has to be something else going on, as you guys seem to be doing pretty well in the money department. Is he worried he's going to be laid off or something? So then OP does come up with an update and they give us a TLDR first, which I'll skip as we've pretty much covered all that. And OP says, anyway, here is the update. My husband finally calmed down enough to have a conversation with me. As many others who provided comments suggested, it wasn't really about the money, but a window into larger issues in our relationship. Essentially, my husband has been feeling increasingly unhappy with me for a while, for the following reasons. In general, he feels like he's a lot more committed to his career development than I am to mine. It's true that although we currently have about the same income, the ceiling for his field, finance, is a lot higher than the one for mine, tech and software development. He's currently in an executive training program and I'm decidedly not. He's feeling resentful that he's having to work long hours in a high pressure environment, while I get to work primarily at home doing something that is fun and fairly easy for me, and I'm not stretching myself to do more. He's concerned that over time these resentments are going to build, and that I'm not going to end up pulling my weight financially if he takes a huge leap in his career and I don't. He remarked that, since getting back into gaming a few months ago, I've been putting a lot less effort into cooking. I do nearly all the cooking because I work at home and have an easier schedule. It's true that I've been fixing simpler meals, things like grilled chicken salads or chili with cornbread. instead of elaborate meals with fussier foods and several sides. He has also noticed that I haven't been doing the elaborate table settings I used to, with flowers on the table, fancy placemats, etc. Honestly, I didn't realize he noticed or cared about this, but apparently he does. Acts of service are one of his main love languages, so overall, he's feeling a little neglected because of this. He also feels I'm not putting enough effort into my appearance. Not in terms of weight/body, I'm a long distance runner and slim, but in terms of things like clothes, hair, etc. It's true that I've never paid much attention to these things. Given that I work at home in tech, the standard for appearances is extremely low. I far exceed that. I tend to buy practical clothes at places like Target and Walmart, don't wear much makeup and keep my hair in a simple ponytail. I do glam up a lot for date nights and other dressy occasions, but most days he comes home from work to find me in a t-shirt and yoga pants with no makeup, and he wants me to make more of an effort. The bottom line is that because of all these things, he started to notice other women. Says he hasn't cheated, but he's noticing other people because he's regularly disappointed in me. In particular, given that he works in finance, there are a good number of very career-orientated type A women who manage to have fantastic bodies, be effortlessly polished and glam, and have more interesting hobbies. He also says he feels horrible about all this because he knows I'm a good person and that he's being judgmental. That is not so much I've changed as that his own goals and expectations have changed in the last couple of years. The financial infidelity part came into it because he feels I'm not really invested in myself and our relationship, thus cheating our future in a sense. He also says he loves me enough to be honest. I do believe he isn't trying to be hurtful. I really had to drag all this out of him. That he doesn't want us to drift apart further. That he doesn't want to be angry and resentful, and he knows he is asking for a lot. I know that many on this sub might say I should just tell him to take a hike and call my lawyer. But we've been married for 10 years, have invested a lot in the relationship, and I want to see if the marriage can be saved. So a couple of things. First, we did make an appointment with a marriage counsellor and start next week. Also, I'm going to try to do at least some of the above. I'm not sure about making myself be more professionally ambitious when I'm already happy with my work-life balance and already financially comfortable. I can at least try doing the other things. Return to spending more time on cooking and decor and fixing myself up a bit when he's on his way home from work. Now that I know they're important to him, I also know that in the end I may feel like I'm just tiptoeing around and contorting myself to please him, but it won't cost me much, certainly much less than a divorce. To try for a month or two and see how we both feel. And I know I would always regret it if I didn't try. So maybe not the update that you're expecting or hoping for, but that's where things are. And if folks continue to be interested, I can update further once we have started marriage counselling and once I can feel out how the changes are going. Edits, I need to call it a night, but once again thanks to everyone for your responses. They were really eye-opening and helped me to see that I do deserve better than the way I'm being treated, and that the expectations my husband is laying out for me are unfair and unrealistic, especially as he isn't doing anything at all to make it easier for me to meet them or to show me he appreciates my efforts and everything I do bring to the table. I am indeed conditioned to be very people-pleasing, and that has impacted what I think is reasonable here. I have a lot to think about, such as, what do I really want here? What is going to make me happy? Especially if I have to keep making myself smaller, metaphorically speaking, and contorting myself to please my husband. Do I really want to be in a marriage under those conditions? I think I'm really selling myself short if I just agree to most of what he demands. Still going to go to the marriage counselling appointment, but I think I will wait to make other changes until we can at least get some professional input. Additional edits to clarify my typical work at home attire/look that he has been complaining about looks something like this, and then OP shares this picture, which is basically just a t-shirt and yoga pants. Is that fair to say? This is not me, but a similar look. Fitted short sleeve shirt, yoga pants, hair in a ponytail. Something that looks casual but neat. I'm not wearing sloppy, baggy sweatpants and oversized t-shirts. So, more people were asking OP after this. And people were asking why OP will just do what husband has requested, and she replied to many comments with fairly the same answer, and OP said thanks. The things I'm willing to do at the moment won't take very much in terms of time. And if they genuinely make him feel more appreciated and cared for, they will absolutely be worth it. I want to show my husband that I am hearing him and taking his concerns and feelings seriously enough to at least try to make an effort in what he asked. If it doesn't work, it doesn't, and we can still separate a couple or a few months down the road. But I would definitely regret not even trying. Then there was some more in-depth information about their relationship and what she does and what he feels. OP says, to answer your questions, yes, we each currently make about 200, so 400k between the two of us. And yes, his concern is that he's going to get promoted to a much higher salary executive position. He's currently being mentored, trained for such a position, which will pay 500k plus, and is due to be promoted in the next couple of years if all goes well with the mentoring program. Now, I fall behind in earnings. Granted, we don't need the money for anything as we don't have debt of any kind, don't have and aren't planning on having kids. I already have close to 1 million in retirement savings with 30 plus years left to work, but he's feeling like I'm going to be somehow riding his coattails, taking advantage of him, coasting while he just works harder and harder with longer and longer hours. All of the above, I suppose. In terms of meals, yes, I do all the prep, cooking, table setting and cleanup. I do actually really enjoy it, as part of it is self-care for me, not just taking care of him. After all, I get to eat the food too, and as I work at home I usually make enough that I can have food for lunch the next day too. I know this doesn't seem fair and that others probably think he should contribute more, but it really doesn't bother me at all, as long as he does enjoy and appreciates it. In terms of work, I'm usually done by 5 to 6 PM, and these days he doesn't get home until about 9 PM, so I wouldn't have to wear makeup and dressy clothes for work. I could just quickly change and fix my hair and makeup when he's on his way home. I don't think the clothes necessarily need to be designer. I can buy blouses and skirts and dresses at Target just as well as t-shirts and yoga pants, or shop thrift stores or department store sales. I do agree that the women he is comparing me to probably don't wear fancy clothes and makeup at home. He's just seeing them in professional setting that require formal business dress. Anyway, I appreciate you saying that I haven't done anything wrong here. Someone says to OP there's a difference between a preference and a boundary. OP says it's true that he did use the word boundary in our conversation when he revealed his unhappiness with me, as in, I've realized it's a boundary for me to be able to come home to a nicely dressed wife who has prepared a thoughtful meal. And yes, I do realize that completely misuses the word boundary. And there was a lot of speculation in the comments below this one, so I just want to cover a couple of comments to just give some of the thoughts that were going around people's heads. So one says, he's fucking a co-worker and laying groundwork for a justification. As Lyndon replies to that and says this, he's also talking about how hard he's working, but for what? He's barely ever home. Although as you say, he's likely getting involved with someone at work. He's either stealing their couple time together to get ahead financially when they already have so much more money than they need, or he's spending his fun money on a cute young chick at the office who thinks the world revolves around him. Someone talks about the love language and acts of service, to which Borning comes in and says, acts of service isn't being weighted on hand and foot. It's about small, everyday actions that show care, like picking up their favorite snack when you're at the shop, or packing their lunch for them because you woke up a little earlier, or calling on your lunch break to hear about their big meeting. It's doing little things that don't inconvenience you because you're in a position to do it. It shows you're thinking of them. You are spot on when you say that his love language isn't an act of service, it's being catered to. It's not a boundary or a preference, it's an attempt to control another person. I hate when love languages are turned into weapons to emotionally manipulate people. Real acts of service are wholesome and pure demonstrations of love that you can do in a million little ways. And it's so disgusting to take something so sweet and use it to manipulate your partner and control them. The whole thing makes me so sad because not very long ago, I was the idiot who said, I love you and I want to make you happy, so what's the harm? And it always escalates. It always gets worse, and you are always the problem. Nothing you do will be enough. I spent so much time in my life focusing on not being like my parents, not hurting anyone or being abusive that it never occurred to me to learn how to look for it in others. And it's bizarre looking at it from this perspective because it's so frustrating to read. I hate everything about this post. And then many people also going down this cheating route as well. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? What are your thoughts on what's going on? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved. Truly, it means a lot. Thank you. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.